Hello, everyone. It's a Tuesday night, so welcome again to the live broadcast of my POA podcast, Black Hand and Beyond. Tonight is episode 88, and tonight we're calling this episode Name That Tune /POA, and you'll get the gist of that here in a minute. We have a couple special guests tonight. In a minute, we're going to bring on Katie Meyer from Iowa, and then we're going to have a special surprise guest in a little while after that. After Katie and I talk for a while, we're going to have hopefully another call-in guest. So that's new to the POA podcast. We've never had a call-in guest like that while we're already on the air and already talking to someone. So we're always trying to do new things. So that's cool. So our first guest tonight made history at the Congress, the history of the International Show Congress. As you guys all know, there's been 66 of them. That's a lot of shows, a lot of history. And young Katie actually won junior and senior in Western and in what we used to call English, but now Hunt Seat. So Katie, good evening tonight. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I didn't screw that up, did I? You actually won all four of those classes,
Yeah,
right?
I really did win all four.
You really did. On homebred horses too. We'll get that to that in a minute. But they were all, you've seen all those, the two you rode as babies, of course. So let me get the screen on and my face in the corner. I look a lot better in the little corner there. There we go. So there's a little pretty baby. I've loved this guy since he was young. I don't know if I seen him as a baby, but I seen him as a yearling. And you guys call him Millsap, and that's what this show is about tonight. It's about songs and even bands and groups and artists that people, POA breeders, have picked their songs to honor them and name their foals after. And this one is No Getting Over Me, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then you guys call him Millsap?
Yeah, after Ronnie Millsap. So
okay.
He's pretty special to us.
And there's a story about that, isn't there? Kind of a story about the whole...
There's quite the story.
We might as well start with it right away. People are
Okay.
starting to join in a little bit. Jan Rogers is here, and there are other people will join in a minute. So, but go ahead and start telling the story.
So my grandparents, Leo and Leanne Hawk, have been in POAs obviously for a really long time. And my mom and her brother grew up showing, and like any brother or sister, they're always fighting. And the threat was always that Grandpa would play his Ronnie Millsap CD, whenever they were out on the road going to a horse show. And it usually shut them up pretty quick, I think. But still to this day, they have a Ronnie Millsap CD in their truck that they haul to the horse shows. They actually just bought a new dually, and the biggest thing was, did it have a CD player in it? Because they were going to need to listen to this Ronnie Millsap CD.
Right.
So Millsap was the first baby out of a lasting impulse. So he's the last first impulse baby and a full sibling to my show mare, Lacing Impulse.
Right.
And we were really, really, really excited for him. He's out of a really great mare, Wish Upon a Cloud, which is probably most famously Dutch Daytona's mom. A lot of people don't know that one.
Right.
But so we were really, really excited for this combo. And I told my mom, we got to do something special for this name. And I was like, Ronnie Millsap all the way,
And No Getting Over Me, even if it wasn't a song, that's just a good name, Hey, there's no getting over me. And he is so striking, too, and he's kept his color. Yeah, he's still young, but I love him when I see him. I've judged him, I think, at least once, this year. Yeah, so, and he's just a striking horse. And then I was going to say, of course, you're a talented rider. You're a very good equestrian, but it does help to have Leo and Leanne as your grandparents. And
absolutely.
And they breed great horses. I mean, and you did start out riding a silver horse, didn't you, when you were younger?
I did, because he also has kind of a song name, Pour Some Silver on Me. His barn name was Conway, and he was a great learner. Grandma and Grandpa didn't have anything young, when I was 7 looking for a horse. And so, and he was a great first horse. And then I've been on homebreds ever since. So.
Right. Well, that's a great tie-in for tonight when your mom sent a picture of him. And I don't know if I included it. I probably didn't get it on Facebook. Maybe I did. I might have got it on there, but I kind of concentrated on this guy. Mm-hmm. But when I seen that, because I've known that horse too, of course, the Silver Kid's son, Pour Some Silver on Me. And I said, wow, that fits in, with Def Leppard's song. And I said, man, we're coming full circle here. But
no kidding.
Yeah, of course, if you guys are new to POAs, Leo and Leanne, Hawk, they raised a lot of POAs, and they were showers. Their kids showed in POAs. Melanie is Katie's mom. And then in what, 1998 was it when First Impulse was born? I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Of course,
Yep.
he
98.
changed. He changed POAs. He was an own son of a Sudden Impulse, and then the rest is history. A lot of other. It not only improved the breed by what he did, but people to compete. You know, they went and bred to other sons of him, of a Sudden Impulse, the quarter horse, and then of course Chocolatey come along, and and there's always the next big thing like Kissing the Girls or whoever, horses that come in different horses.
Yeah.
But for sure in 1998, and then Lexus come along. A lot of people like her even better. She just wasn't a stallion, but I always loved Lexus. She's a great mare. And they raised a mare named Lopin, didn't they? Too.
He was gelding.
Oh,
but
gelding,
yes,
yeah, gelding, yeah.
He acted like a mare, but
he acted
yes.
like a mare, yeah. Lopin, okay, yeah. And that's what's that? A lazy loper?
Yep, he was a lazy loper.
Lazy loper.
And he has a full sister that she produced some really, really nice ones for my grandparents as well.
Okay.
And she was a good producer. And yeah, Lopin was a little bit of a butthead, but he was a lot of fun to show too.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, how old is Millsap now?
So Millsap's 3 this year. So
he's just a 3-year-old.
Yeah, he's just a 3-year-old, and there, that picture on the screen, he is like a dog. He is so much fun. He loves to take naps. He loves belly scratches. Like, he really is a dog.
Look at the country girl there in her Crocs. You have some Crocs on in that picture. Blue jeans and Crocs. That's a fashion statement. No, that's
my grandma's probably mortified at the fact that I'm wearing Crocs, but
I could have cropped it out, but I didn't want to crop his socks out. So, because even laying down, he's got pretty socks. So.
Oh yeah, he is. He's beautiful. He catches your eye in the pen. He always has.
Here's your grandpa showing him. That picture's a little fuzzy, but it's still, you can see his profile, how good he is. And it doesn't do him justice, but let's see. Well, there's Leo walking out of a pen. I don't think that was this year. That was probably when he was a yearling, maybe.
He was. Yep, that was yearling lunge line when he was reserved.
Yeah.
And so he's been doing well in the in-hand. And this year I was reserved in the youth geldings with him. So he can stand up there and halter too. And he's so fun on the rail, though. That's my favorite.
He is, yeah. And there you are holding a trophy with him. So, yeah. I haven't looked up every show, but I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty safe to bet no one's going to call in the show and argue with us if I say you're the only kid ever to do, or youth, I should say, to do junior and senior both discipline, Western and hunt seat.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's been people win, like Kenwell's barmaid probably several times won Western and hunt seat, but then the same rider didn't have a junior horse, So
yeah.
And
McKenna Massey with Chocolatey Chassis in 2021 did the senior hunter under saddle and senior Western Pleasure.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't have a junior.
Didn't have a junior horse. Yeah, that's something else when your junior horse wins it too. So, and like I said, you are a very talented rider. So, are you going to keep showing? How many years do you have left in POA in youth?
So I just have one more. Next year will be my last year in youth. As for adult, that's a great question. I'm planning on it, but I am going to ride in college, and so that gets a little trickier. But I plan on showing for sure at Congress as an adult.
Okay,
through
cool.
my college years.
That's good. Yeah, and your grandparents are still raising babies, ain't they? Or
Yep, yeah. Millsap has a colt this year. The little brother, it's a colt. Looks just like him.
Really?
The same kind of 4 socks, the blanket.
Oh wow.
He's a beautiful colt too.
I bet. What's his name? Has he been named?
No. Nope, we got nothing yet.
No name yet.
No, they don't get names till they come in the barn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, that's all right. So here's a picture of you on the mare on your senior horse. So.
Yep.
Yeah. And
yep,
she's a full sister to their stallion, right?
Yep, she's a full sister to A Lasting Impulse.
A Lasting Impulse, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so aunt and nephew there.
Aunt and nephew, that's right. Yeah, for sure. Boy, look at those hedgerows of checks there, ribbons and hedgerow. Man, you got a safety barrier there. It looks like you're Taylor Swift, and that's your security or something. I don't know what's going on there.
If only I could be Taylor Swift.
Oh,
Wow,
yeah.
I love her. But
You love her? I use that as an
yes.
example. Saturday, I was judging an open show, and the best rider there, a girl, she was well mounted on a quarter horse, and I could tell she was doing good, but there just wasn't that much competition. So after the show, I went up to her and I said, "Who's your favorite artist?" And she got kind of embarrassed, and I said, "Do you like Taylor Swift?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, just think, if she plays in like Stillwater, Oklahoma, you know what I mean, or whatever, or Ponca City or something, we're in Oklahoma." I said, and then, she's got to play the same way she would in Boston or London. And I said, just keep that in mind. Ride, if there's only 2 in the class and you're still the best one, put out your best effort. So it was funny. I mentioned Taylor Swift again today, but yeah,
Well,
I don't think you
actually,
need to be Taylor Swift. I think Katie Meyer is a full-time job. You're doing good, I think.
no kidding. Ironically enough, she was playing during the results of senior Hunter under saddle, and I knew I was in the top 2. And it was my last class of the day, and obviously you really want to win it because I've already won the junior, and so I was definitely getting really nervous. And Sophie Andring and I actually were singing Taylor Swift, and it definitely calmed the nerves down. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good that you can calm your nerves down. So that's always a good thing. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So are you going to next year? You're going to ride both of them again then?
Yep. I'll keep them both. They're both for lifers at our house.
They're for lifers, yeah.
They're not. I mean, we've had lots of people try and buy both of them, but
I bet.
they're my best friends.
Oh, that's good.
I can't imagine doing this without Lacey or with Millsap this year. He found such a great place in our house, and so.
Good. And he'll be a junior horse still even next year, so.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, and then JPSC the year after that, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, I forgot about that. There's the 5-year-old now, yeah. Things have changed so much, the rules. And you could ride her even, when you're an adult. So it used to be adults could only ride junior horses, so things have changed so much. But it's fine, it's kept things alive, so. So I always like to put people on the spot, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but which one do you like best?
Oh my goodness. This is like a huge thing for me because actually in April, we were coming home from a horse show and I started crying in the truck because I told my mom, I don't know how to do it with 2 horses. Like, how do you love 2 kids? Like, right. I don't want one to think that I love them more than the other.
Can't play favorites. Yeah.
It's really, really hard because they're both so different, but yet so similar. And I mean, Lacey's been my girl since day one. She was a yearling the first year that I showed in 9 and under. So we've grown up together. We've been through it all together, but Millsap is so much fun. And he has just such a lovable personality. So you can't not love the guy. Right. I mean, look at it.
Look at he can't hold his head high. You know what I mean? He's bred to hold his head low. I just laugh how he is in that picture. That's just how they are, the natural good ones. So yeah, and you've seen both these since before they were halter broken. You know what I mean? They were babies born on your grandparents' place. So that's so cool. So what do you call the mare? What's her nickname?
We call her Lacey.
Lacey, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of, or the princess, or she's kind of spoiled rotten.
Yeah. Well, she's a mare too, so there's avenues you could go there, of course, too. If you want to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Someday. Yeah. And then he's a gelding, so I mean, he's probably a little level-headed, a little better.
Yeah, they both are. Their minds are just something that. I really think that like every single one of my grandparents, like all these first impulse ones that I've ever been around, they have a mind that you can't get anywhere else. Like
right.
They're so good. They're so good minded.
They have great mind. They have slow legs and they're trainable. Yep. That's a big part of it, is the trainability. You can be slow legged, but if you don't have the minds, you can't do nothing with them. So
absolutely.
Well, sorry I put you on the spot there, but you handled it well. So
you're good.
I just watched a movie, the Iron Claw movie about professional wrestlers, and he's sitting at the kitchen table and he starts listing off. He's got 4 or 5 sons and he ranks them his favorites. And I'm like, wow, what a cruel person, and it's based on a true story. So I'm like, no wonder these kids were all screwed up because I'm telling him he's my favorite, but the list could change. He goes, I'm like, wow, what pressure, So.
No, I still have the parent guilt because I don't want one to think I love them more than the other. Because it's not true, but
It's not true. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So a lot of people are starting to comment. Tracy Keene, of course, has commented a lot. And then other people are commenting. Of course, Melissa Andring is on here. She
Yes.
says, hi, Kent. Hi, Katie. So, yep, we're getting people commenting. So tonight's show is about songs. That's why, Millsap is on it. But I knew you'd be a good guest, too. But I actually asked you to be on here before you became a celebrity at the Congress. You know what I mean? I want everybody to know that. I asked you when I was measuring if you would be a guest. First, I asked your mom because I'm old school and I'm polite. So I'm actually older than your mom. I remember her as a youth, and yeah. And then, of course, both your grandparents were on the board of directors. Leo was on way before me, and your grandma was on before me, but then I also served with her for a while. So both great POA ambassadors, and then, of course, breeders and stuff. And your grandpa still likes to get out there and show. That's cool. So.
Yeah. He's got a little, Lacey and Millsap are kind of the last, or the two most recently that he's done, but all those kind of original impulse babies he was out there showing in hand and having success with. And
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. I've learned so much from him. He's so calm and soft, and he teaches them so good at a young age. And if only someday I can get to that, but.
Oh, I think you will. So there he is again as a baby. So I love that picture of him as a baby. So just to think he's just a 3-year-old is unbelievable. So
he walks into a show like an old broke gelding, and Lacey walks in like the yearling stud colt with her tail up over her back on the lunge line, and we laugh about it, but it's nice to see him as a 3-year-old just being so calm and soft and kind of loving his job.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. He definitely has the look and the mind, and I'm going to scroll through here and get some more pictures. That's what I'm doing right now. So, because like I alluded to, so there is Skyrock Moves Like Jagger. I know there's a horse named Moves Like Jagger too, but there's also one I was sent from California named Skyrock Moves Like Jagger, and that's him when he won the California State Futurity as a weanling, and I think he's in Ohio now. So, let's see who's his. I don't know if I have his rider, but I'm sure they're watching the show tonight. So, I'm getting a phone call. Just a minute here. We got our special guest is calling us, so let's try to get this. I hope I don't lose you, Katie. Okay, merge. Hello?
Hey.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. You might have to turn the sound down a little bit on the computer because I can hear my voice in the background. So, Katie, are you still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Wow, we did it. So everybody, our special guest tonight that we didn't tell you about, surprise guest, is Janelle Burton, because she's really the main reason, too, that we're having this. And I didn't know that her and Katie had a conversation at the Congress about being on here as a guest, so that was cool. But Janelle has really named a lot of her POAs after artists and musicians, and then, of course, songs. And we're going to go over some of those tonight. So welcome to the show, Janelle.
Hello, Katie. Hello, Ken.
Hi, Janelle.
Hello. We were just getting to some others here. I got to knock a few of these out before we get to a long list here. I'm going to show my picture here. Here's the list she sent me today. Janelle sent me, I wrote Janelle Burton on there like I don't know who these horses are, but there's a list of all the, not all of them, but a lot of them that her and some from the Spencers, but related to their stuff too, that she's named after the topic tonight. So, but anyway, here's some pictures of Skyrock Moves Like Jagger. Here's a cool picture of him there. And then there he is at a parade in Indianapolis, I believe, at the Indianapolis 500. So that's good advertisement for POAs. And going over a bridge. So Lisa Reckon bred him from California, and she was nice enough to send me these pictures. There he is at Boo Bash out in Indiana. So, okay, let's get to some other pictures here. I'm going to put my face up here. So, Janelle, I said I was going to put you on the spot a little bit. Do you know about how many you've named after musicians and songs about?
Well, I want to say the first one, you asked me about who was the first one, and the first one would be the ID broodmare Petra.
Petra. Okay.
And I knew I've always loved that band. I want to date myself, but it's an old Christian rock band, and
they've been around for 50 years.
They've been around for a few years, and it means on this rock. So I felt like that was a good foundation. Right. I knew she would be a great producer. She's just, she's done really good by us. And then, from then on, I think just about everything has either a song name or there's a story about why they don't have a song name. Right. We were teasing Kathy McKenzie about Take Another Look.
Yeah, that's a good story.
We thought he was silly for about a month. He was born in Iowa. My mom used to pull out the babies.
Right.
And she said, Petra finally had a filly. And we were all excited. And, of course, we went and looked at him, and Pat's like, this is not a filly, So I originally wanted to name him Dude Looks Like a Lady, but I got vetoed on that. So
you should have, though, especially now with all these names. That fits right in. I mean, Take Another Look's a great name, too, and a great story.
Well, his barn name was Bruce, and Kathy changed that. Kathy and Kayla said we can't do that, so I said we've got to be Bruce, because he changed from a,
Right.
But anyway, that was kind of how it all got started. And years ago, actually, Mackenzie G bought a pony from us named Glamorous, and she was, of course, named after the song. We called her Fergie.
Okay.
And that was way back when. I want to say I showed her in 2008. So that was, quite a few years ago.
Right. I remember. Yeah. And Take Another Look, just to wrap up about him, he set history because he won Grand Champion Stallion, then came back and won Grand Champion Gelding. So,
right.
And he could again. I mean, he possibly could win again Grand Champion Gelding, but no one's done that. So it may happen again. There's a couple out there that maybe could do it. But
right.
The last time you were on as a guest, you were on with Pat, and then Roz was on, Rosalind Spencer Biggs, and we were talking about this filly that's on the screen right now. She was a baby, and it was Sweet Caroline and then Rocket Man, I believe. You guys were on because you won both ends of the futurity, and them are both names that fit in tonight. So Rocket Man, of course, was a great movie about Elton. So you got all
his original name.
What was
we
his
called
original?
him Nemo because Declan wanted to name him Nemo, but Kathy and Kayla promptly changed it to Elton, which it should have been for sure. So
that fits, yeah. And he was reserve grand this year, right, as a gelding. So Rocket Man.
Yep.
So and then Sweet Caroline won last year as a yearling, and then I think she was reserved this year, wasn't she? Or I don't know. She was in there.
She may have been reserved. I'm not
there.
sure.
She won the futurity as a baby, of course. So. And then let's see. So here's another one. Katie, you still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Chime in anytime. I know you know every one of these, so especially when we get to some of the riders. I don't have pictures of some of the leopards and stuff. I could have, but there's only so many hours in the day. So, of course, this is Fortunate Son, and he was fortunate enough to win Grand this year. He's a nice-looking boy. And talk about his family, Janelle, a little bit. Who owns him now?
Casey Henderson owns him, and he's got a very neat story about how he was purchased. I'm not sure. I think most of POA land knows that. It's Casey's mom bought Perry, that's his barn name, for her son, and he ended up not surviving. So she shows him in memory of her son, and it's very touching. Every time he wins, I just get chills because I just love that story. Right. And then they bought Rhinestone Cowboy from us, which might be my favorite name that I've used. It's right up there because, we kind of laugh about when Glenn was born, he kind of just pranced out like he just thought, if there was ever a Rhinestone Cowboy, it's Glenn.
He was one of them, yeah. And I love that song. I was a little kid. I'm a touch older than you are, Janelle, and I had a speech impediment as a kid, and I used to run around singing Rhinestone Cowboy. I couldn't say S's. So my dad always told that story, Rhinestone Cowboy. So when you guys named that, I said, well, here we go, Rhinestone Cowboy finally. So, yeah, he won too. He won his yearling class, so.
He did, and so Casey and her husband and her whole entire family, they've just been great clients. They're great people to sell horses to, and they've made it just really kind of a pleasure, and they're always well presented, and so
They're what POA is about. I'm glad they found POAs, or or POAs found them, whatever. And they're a very good young family. I like talking to them.
They've been in POA actually they've been in POA for a while. In fact, they've got some pretty cool names themselves. Casey's mom's pretty witty with her names. I think she's got the Drop the Mic.
Drop the Mic,
and a couple others. And a couple neat names. So
he did well this year. Drop the Mic too.
Yeah. Did. Yeah. She did.
That kind of fits in to the show too. So here's Mama Tried, and Kennedy in this picture. So I remember when he was born, because I said that too. I said, I hope they name him Mama Tried, because he looks just like his mama. So color-wise, or he did as a baby anyway. So.
Yeah, we test this horse, Rosalind and I. We test him when he was born, because he was, when we did the recips and had 2 a year, it was every other one. And so that year Dwight was mine. I believe they're the same age. I don't know. I kind of lose track a little bit, but. When Merle was born, Rosalind texted me and said she had one that looks just like her, and it's a boy. I don't know why couldn't be a filly. So we did test Merle when he was first born, and that name was a group of, like, we all kind of got together because we're like, well, Joy just said you guys are talking smack about me. I'm just going to make one that looks just like me.
Right.
So, which she did lots of strange things with what she produced for us. She always kept us guessing. But that was a little bit of a collaboration for Mama Tried. I wanted to do Mama Knows Best, but I didn't also want to copy, the really famous quarter horse. So we went with Mama Tried instead. So.
Well, I think that fits.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Merle's babies this fall. Like, it's going to be a good watch him.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the one of the up and coming. He's on. If they did a who's who of the young ones, like the up and comers, he's going to be on that list. Yeah.
And that's why Rosalind and I say, can you believe that we cussed him so much when he was born? I mean, we were just like, why should you have this? We should have this. We don't need another stallion. That's what Rosalind kept saying. I do not need another stallion.
Right. Yeah, but when they're homozygous like that and they have the breeding, and he has so many famous siblings, plus he's making a name for himself now too. So
yeah, he's just pretty.
He won his class too, right? This year he won. Yeah, you guys, you won a lot this year. So you passed a lot of breeders this year. So a lot of breeders with 20 mares. You passed with your couple mares. And Petra kind of got you going in the. I mean, you bred, of course, you bred Petra, but she's kind of your foundation mare, isn't she? Basically.
The very first POA we bred for was out of just a fantastic mare that we got from Ruth Ann Knapp, who she wanted a halter horse to show, and I don't know how, there's rumors about how much this mare cost when she was young. They bought her as a weanling, and she had I'm a Cool Skip and Sunny D-Bar on her papers, like she was bred to the hilt. And we bred to see our Star Kid and had On the Rocks gelding. It's the very first POA we raised.
I remember
and then
him.
And then we bred her back 2 times again to Star Kid and got Petra and then the Flirtatious mare.
Okay.
So, and Flirtatious is actually in foal for a Merle baby for next spring. So that
really?
Could be, a pretty cool cross that we're kind of excited about.
Oh, that could be a cool cross. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when you showed that gelding on the rocks, because I didn't recognize you, and I asked Larry Myers, I said, who is that? I said, that's a really nice, because he said, that's a Star Kid. Larry was a big promoter. If there was a Star Kid or one of his or Monty's award, you knew it. And he didn't tell me who you were. I would have known your family, but he said, oh, she did this or that. They bought this quarter mare. And then later I found out who you were. And I'm like, well, I knew her when she was a kid, kind of a gamer and stuff. So.
Yeah. Katie and I laugh about, like, Katie, her mom and I are the exact same age, and Katie likes to give her mom trouble for that. So
I thought
I still don't believe it.
I was talking about that today. I thought you guys were pretty close to the same age. Yeah.
Yeah, we showed at the same time. I had my game pony Melvin, and she had the incomparable Dragon's Talon, who I was so envious of. Such a cool horse.
He was a cool horse. I've used him for pictures on POA history because he's that brilliant snow cap, big classic snow cap. And the picture of her in her blue outfit, I know she gets mad at me using that picture, but you know how fashions change over. But it was great in 1986 or whatever. It was great. You know what I mean? So yeah, I have that on here a lot. You can see that picture. So. Okay, let's see. Let's move on from Mama Tried. And I do agree with you, Katie. I think I can't wait to see his babies. So, well, here's another good one.
Lisa Hunter has a really cool yearling bike that she's showing. So he'll be fun to watch.
Okay, that's cool. All right, Janelle, can you see the screen? Are you watching the screen?
I can.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
Well, you tell us who this one is.
Wait, what about me? I got this.
Oh, Katie, you do it. Janelle, just let Katie do it. Yeah.
I actually was texting with Sarah last night and told her she had to listen because I was going to give her a nice, good shout out.
Well, there you go.
So I was really excited to see her picture up here for sure. So, okay, you can go now, Janelle. Sorry.
Oh, you can go now.
So we kind of laugh about this because Richard, who was the original that Sarah bought from us, she bought Richard because I believe she had a flat tire in Tulsa, and Scott took her to get that tire changed, and he kept saying, "We've got a really cool leopard." And at that time, we did not have. We sold the Joyride mare and then bought her back, and I don't think we owned her back yet. So Richard was, we had this really cute video of him loping in the pasture, and Scott sent that to Sarah, and she over and over again, and she said, "Well, I don't like leopards, and he's too loud." And so to me, I said he's got to be living on a prairie. I love Bon Jovi. So right. I saw a picture of Richie Sambora at the Derby in a leopard jacket, and I said, "Well, he's got to be Richard, and his name has to be living on a prairie." So he bought him and took him home from the sale, and it's honestly been the start of one of my best friendships that Sarah and Roslyn and I all share, all because she had a flat tire in Tulsa, and Scott took her to get that tire changed and would not stop bothering her about this little leopard colt that she just did not want. So, and then then she said, "Well, I want another one." And then so when we had Axel, he was a late baby because he was also an embryo transfer, and so I said, "I got one for you." And I have these ties under my trees out back, and we always tie them up and handle him quite a bit. He wasn't shown at the security because he was late, and we have a video of him somewhere where he didn't pull back, he didn't step back, he just sat down and then laid down. And those ties had enough give to him that he was just able to just lay down on the ground.
Wow.
So I said, "Here's your horse," and she's like, "Okay," and she just bought him sight unseen, and I believe she picked him up in November. So that's the second one she's bought out of that cross Sarah has from us that she just, she does an incredible job with horses. So.
She does, yeah. And he's not he doesn't have as many spots as the other one, so.
Yeah. And of course, Sarah broke out my first horse, Conway, that we talked about earlier, too. So.
Wow. This is all tying in together. We got the Iowa connection going on here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, this horse here, so his legal name, registered name is Welcome to the Jungle, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and he is so deep in the hocks, Axel, yeah. And when he moves, it's just, you take notice for sure. So, and he's a pretty color. I mean, those loud leopards, I'm kind of like she is, like Sarah. They're not for me either, but they're hard not to spot in the class, but you get a classic color like this, that's saying something too. So, okay, that's all. I don't have pictures of everyone on the list, so we're going to have to talk about some that are not on the list. Unfortunately, I don't have. We might go to the mare while we're talking about. If you two want to kind of talk about some of these, Janelle, just kind of throw them out there, and Katie, you can add to whatever.
I guess we can go on with Richie. I mean, talk about definitely some of my very best friends showing the Case family. Really love them, and Zoe's done such a good job with Richie, and it's been fun to watch them. And
he's a pretty cool pony. I think when Sarah won, I believe, and somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but she won the in-hand trail with him. Of course, she's I'm not sure that there's many people that can prepare one like Sarah can.
No.
Indian Hand Trail. And then I believe he won the lunge line under all three judges at Congress that year. And so that's when Rosalind and I were like, okay, it's time to start flushing this mare. Because she's not, she's not a baby anymore. And let's see what we can do here and then that's when we had just kind of started talking to, Macy had been bought by a friend of mine that's also from Iowa, just a really good person. And she's like, she was born ID, so she was never shown. And so then that's when I thought, I'm going to see what she's doing with that mare, because I think I want to buy her back. And I could see, really kind of tell that Richard was going to be something special. So, and then, like I said, Sarah campaigned him and showed him just excellent. And honestly, that's really been with a lot of the success that I can only speak for my, Pat and I, is we just have really good buyers. I mean, just good people that do a phenomenal job. Like the podcast last week when Kim was talking about, buying Dwight, she bought him sight unseen. And
right.
I can remember she showed some interest, and I just told Pat, I said, we're going to do whatever we can to get this horse in her hands. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make it, I'm going to make this work for her.
Right.
And of course, no complaints that she's done an amazing job with Dwight, who is Guitars and Cadillacs, of course. But,
right. Well, it's showing up now, like on the leading breeders and sires list and stuff. You're skyrocketing up there for only, it looks like you have 10, 15 mares, because you're winning so much stuff. But like you say, you're selling to people that are very talented and they show up. You know what I mean? Some
right.
people are really good riders, but things happen in life or whatever, and they just don't get to Congress or they stop showing, and then the horse sits there, and then people forget about them then, But yeah, so you guys have been fortunate that way, but I think it's because people are gonna. It's just not lucky, People are gonna go where they know there's good stuff. So, and you guys do produce good stuff. So, I'm trying to find pictures of Ruthie or whatever you call her. The one your son.
Don't stop me now.
Yeah, you didn't raise her, you raised her, but you didn't breed her. But you guys foaled her out. So I'm trying to find pictures of her, but there's a lot of pictures of her floating around on the history page and other pages. So I know I put a post on here about her, but it's kind of went away in the void here. I have one picture. It's not the best, where she's from the ranch confirmation class, but I guess I'll show that. So, but I had one of you riding her, and it's on. You guys can go on the history page and see it too. So let's see. So here's the one from. I think that's from. Is that Congress? Yeah, but that's the confirmation class. Yeah, that would be what, at the Mustang Arena.
Yeah, that was at the Mustang.
Yeah, she's a cool mare. She's such a cool little mare, and she's on here tonight not just because you're a guest on here, but because she's named after a song, too. So Declan named her, didn't he?
He did name her. Declan got kicked out of music class when he was in kindergarten for telling the teacher she didn't sing very good. So he is very picky about his music, and of course, who doesn't love Freddie and Queen, right?
Right.
So Don't Stop Me Now was his favorite song. We had it on repeat. I'm going to guess he was at 3 or 4 years old. And, we listened to it all the time. It was done, and we replayed it again. And, of course, some of the lyrics are iffy, so we just kind of would talk loud during some of those. But that was his favorite song. And when I said, do you want to name this mare? And he's like, well, I want to name her Don't Stop Me Now. So that's how she got her name.
And that just fits right in. A lot of people probably figure you just named her. So
I didn't know. I did not. That was all him. And her barn name, Ruthie, came. My maternal grandmother was named Ruth, and so. Okay. And then of course the person that we got the mare was, Ruth just needed to be in there somewhere, and so it had a lot of meaning for us. So that's why she ended up being called what she was called. And then her other siblings have a good play on names, but I can't take all the credit for naming all the Fly the Red Eyes. I want to say Danelle had some input on that, and hers is I think hers I Fly the Red Eye.
Hers is Leaving on a Jet Plane.
Leaving on a Jet Plane, and then the other one is
I Fly First Class.
I Fly First Class. Yeah.
I Fly.
And so I had a couple options, and I just kind of said, Danelle bought him before we may have registered and filled out the paperwork, but I knew she wanted him, so I said, let's think about this name. But I wanted to have a play on the sire's name, so
right.
That was was a lot of fun to do that. So.
And he's turning into a heck of a barrel horse. Of course, his dad was, fast, was a race horse, so Supreme Champion quarter horse too. So
right.
Yeah. And this mare here's won the medium mares 2 years in a row, right? Now, so
yeah, unanimously actually, and then she did end up winning. She won the youth ranch confirmation with Zoe Case,
right?
So she did end up winning that too. So.
And you can kind of see in this picture, it's on the other side, but you have a long ranch, reining mane on her, so that's cool. That 6 judges have picked her first in the halter, not just the ranch halter, because you don't have a short little mane on her. You got a nice, beautiful mane on her, so. Yeah.
Well, I told Pat he could show this mare on halter, but I was not petting her mane.
Yeah.
So
and
he agreed.
My dad always said that one will win with a long mane when one's good enough. He said the judges will put it for, and this happened. So she happened. So.
Well, and this year I did not even cut her bridle path, which was kind of undecided about that, but I just said I'm not going to cut her bridle path. Flipped up everything else, but I just left it.
Right.
So.
Well, at least the fetlocks and stuff are all, what I mean? She still looks like a halter horse too. So, and this mare, when she looks through a bridle, she is so pretty. When you ride her, she just has a look about her. So, all right, you guys, let's talk about some of the other of Janelle's. We got a long list here. Whoa, Black Betty's one of my favorites.
Absolutely. So I waited for years to have a black filly that I could name Black Betty. When Roslyn sent me a picture, and I don't know where that picture's at right now, but she's cantering towards the camera. I don't know how she got the picture. And she's like, Black Betty was born. So she was born in Chickasha. I was like, yes! I was so excited because I had a black filly to call Black Betty. So, but Black Betty was taken, so we had to use Whoa, Black Betty, which it's fine. It's good. Right.
Well, that fits in with the song even better anyway. So and the play on horse terms, so. So, Katie, what's one of your favorites that we haven't mentioned already? Go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely have one that I've been thinking about. And Duns and Roses is kind of a favorite of mine. I remember Kendi breaking her out as a two-year-old, and she placed in the Trout that year. And I was like, wow, this mare's got so much potential. And then now Contreras and Sammy Bruns have done a great job with her. And she won the 4-5 stakes this year and has done super good. And I really like that mare.
Yeah, her dam is probably the best jogger and trotter that we own. She just trots she's only 54 inches. That's the Watch Me Sparkle mare, who is out of the RS Cool Fire mare, who's the Sunny D Bar Cool Skip. So she was one of the last daughters that we actually got out of her. And then she's also a rough and zip. And she just trots like a big horse. And she passed that on to Harley. And then her 2-year-old, we have another full sibling. She's My Kind of Rain that Natalie and Maddie own. Okay. And she's a good trotter too.
She's a beautiful mare too, filly.
She really is. She's so typey.
Right.
I'm excited for that 2-year-old too.
Yeah.
But so the Duns and Roses mare, Sarah Schaefer named her. Because she just said, we've got to name one Duns and Roses. And I said, well, my name this one Duns and Roses because she has such a nice, prominent dorsal.
Right.
And I think, and everybody was like, oh, I'm so sad. Your pretty mare was born solid. And then we went and tested her. And, of course, she's homozygous, which was a whole, different deal and definitely had the amber hooves. So that was a learning experience for all of us, that she would actually be born completely solid with no modeling and be homozygous.
And she was 4th in the McLaren. So 2nd, 3rd, and 4th were all song ladies this year.
I know, that's something else. You should be proud of that, Janelle. So.
But she's been fun to watch and watch in the youth. And she is a jogger, that is for sure.
Yeah, and a trotter. She's a jogger and a trotter, so that's really cool. It's one thing about. And we called her Peach because when she was born, she had that big dorsal stripe and she had this terrible hair coat. And she looked like a fuzzy peach, like her butt looked like a peach emoji. So we named her Peach for
well,
the
she is
time.
She's still a pretty color, a different color. And then some of your leopards that you have, I know they're kind of dun spots, but when Kim was on last week, I said, some of them are like orange. Their spots look just orange to me when you're watching them out in the pen, They just jump out
Well,
of
that's one of the things I said to Sarah when she was wavering about whether or not to buy Richard, I said, does it help that he's a dun? He really is a dun. He's a dun leopard.
Right.
So she's like, I don't know.
I don't know. That's funny. That's funny. So one of my favorite ones that you've raised, of course, like I said, Whoa Black Betty, I like her, and I like her name. And then black is still rare. I know a lot of breeders are trying to get black, but it is so tough to get, especially on a good quality one. But this is a young filly now, but she's my cherry pie. I just think she's gonna. She just came to your country there, Katie, too. She just moved up to Iowa.
We were with her this weekend.
Right.
Out there in the pen, and Christine has done a nice job for how very little she's had her. So,
yeah, she's a very, very cool filly. In fact, She's My Cherry Pie name was on my list for years too, just kind of like the Black Betty name. And I said it has to be a red filly, and so we waited for, I was hoping that the Good Ride would have a filly and I could name her She's My Cherry Pie. But of course, he had a colt, and, he also got a cool name. And, but the funny thing about Trixie is Declan once again comes in clutch. And I said, what do you want to call it for a barn name? And he said, well, I want to call her Trixie because she'll do tricks. And I was like, I don't know if that's appropriate, but what are you going to say? So that's how she got to be Trixie.
Okay. And that song by Warren, I grew up with that song. That's right in that and Dr. Feelgood. I mean, I was probably a senior in high school when those songs came out. So Welcome to the Jungle. I was a little younger, but
I'm definitely more of a classic rock person, that's for sure.
I counted on this list. There's 5 country songs on this list. I counted. And then, of course, Katie's Horse is a country song. Millsap is. But you got Merle and Millsap. And then let's see who's some of these. Tennessee Whiskey, definitely a country song. Mama Tried, Guitars and Cadillacs. And there might be another one, too. But pretty much all these are more rock. And then you had some Christian rock, too, early on. But
Third Day, of course. That was one of my, the favorite of all. He's still my favorite, probably.
He's a cool dude, too. Yeah, he
really is.
Yeah.
Well, in there somewhere, there was a filly. Petra had a filly that we called Super Chick, which is also a Christian band. Okay. So there was I don't know where we sold her in the Reichert sale. So there's one of those, swimming around there.
What's her name?
Super Chick.
Super Chick. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then Petra also had a mare called Mercy Me, who was a select sire winner.
Right.
And then she got sold to a kid in Ashley's barn, and she started running around barrels, and that horse wins rodeos. Like they actually, I think they just had the fastest time at the Edmond Roundup. I think, I don't know my facts. You could fact check me, but in the poles and barrels both. So there's a select star winner that went on to do
right a lot. Yep. Some of these select star winners can, they can do a lot of stuff. So, which you're
sometimes
gonna
they
see.
do, and sometimes they kind of wander away and you never hear from them again. But yeah, so that's Mercy Me, and that was she's a Petra baby.
Okay.
And then Twisted Sister, of course, was Lisa LeBrie's little mare, and she had her white on her. Her blaze was twisted like a tornado, and so that's how she got her.
You named
it
her.
Doesn't look that way anymore.
Yeah, she won the halter mares, didn't she? Small mares.
She did, and now she has a really, really cute Olaf baby that they pushed out this year. So
okay, well that's cool. So I'm so old that I had Twisted Sister cassette tapes, records, and CDs. So I had all 3 of them. Not an 8-track. I'm not that old. I didn't, and they weren't around in the 8-track era. Twisted Sister wasn't. So Don't Stop Me Now was on an 8-track. But so okay, let's see who else. Tennessee Whiskey. Who else do we get? Dr. Feelgood. You named one that. She's My Cherry Pie. We talked about. This is a huge list. So. Yeah, it's almost like using a prefix, it really is. So it's pretty clever. And other people, you didn't invent it, of course. There's been a lot of country songs and rock and pop songs, but mainly country was used way back in the day. But you've kind of made it, you mastered it. You know what I mean?
And so as a kid, and this might be offensive to some people, but I felt like. This is not a blanket statement, but I a lot of times felt like that would be a really cool name if it didn't have that prefix. So, don't judge me. It's just the way I am. And I just remember thinking that. And then I remember when we first kind of started our collab with the Spencers, and I think that it was Dave, and somebody could correct me. He said, I don't need a prefix. Because, let's be real. Spencer Livestock have had cool names from the very beginning.
Right. Short names. They have one-word names, a lot of them. Yeah.
Yes. And Dave is, he's also on the name list, when we're double checking on a name.
Right.
But I remember him saying, if it's a good one, they'll know where it came from. They don't need to see the prefix. They'll know where it came from.
Right.
And of course, Katie, your grandparents really had a prefix either.
So I'm with you on
names. Yeah.
My dad wanted to use a prefix, and my mom and I told him no, we didn't want a prefix. And he was going to use Polar because he worked in Alaska. So he was going to name him Polar dot this, Polar dot that. And we said, no, we don't want to be boxed in like that. I was young, and I still said no. And we never used the prefix either. But just like Dave said, if you can, especially when you advertise, just list them, and now with social media, you don't even have to advertise as much, but just list them all like this list I got in front of me. Wow. They could have, that's a prefix of its own. So, and then you can always use a breeding name, just like Leo and Leanne, with the impulses. Everybody knew,
right.
And like with Silver and stuff, and now the chocolates, sometimes they come from different lines, but they usually come from the main source. So, yep, Tracy just said stilettos. Yep, stilettos was one of them, and there was quite a few like that. So, Katie, you got anything to add there? I'm kind of talking over you a little bit, but I don't mean to be.
No. I'm trying to think. I had one that's not a Burton or Spencer, but
that's fine.
I'm trying to think of others. That one, the one that I was thinking of when I was showing as a little kid and 9 and under, was Red Solo Cup.
Yep.
Yes.
Red Solo Cup. Yep.
Kylie Dowd did a really good job with her. She was tough to beat. When that mare was, so she's a little older of a mare, so she was really nice.
She's won a lot of stuff, Red Solo Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Did she come from Jan and Dean? They bred for her, or did they breed her and somebody else named her? I can't remember.
Well, I think somebody else is the breeder of her, but because I just looked it up, because she won in the last 4 years. She won quite a few classes, so I had to look it up. But she has their breeding. She has their breeding, but I don't think they're the breeder. Impulse's baby. Yeah, she just put. May have been
Tara Betcher that named her. If I remember, Tara Betcher may have had her, or she was in somewhere. There have definitely been some. I always used to love the Crisco Kid. I loved his name, and that play on words with the kid in it. I always thought those were some pretty cool names. But.
Right. The Crisco Kid, when he was born, my dad said he looked like lard. He was so white, and he had spots all over him, but in the straw. He said, man, he looks like a lump of lard laying in straw. So he went in the house, and he told my mom, he said, get out do you got any Crisco? And she got out the can, and he said, that's what we're going to name him, the Crisco Kid. That was Kiddo Tough's first foal ever. So, and then Rough and Tough was the second foal, and of course you guys breed to Rough and Zip. So. Somebody's got a train going by. That's cool. That gives it a country flavor.
We always have the train in the backyard. So.
We're moving to a place with a train in the backyard. My father-in-law's house has a train right in the backyard, but it's still a nice neighborhood. It's nicer than where I live now, so we're moving there eventually. But, well, guys, this has been great. You can keep naming names if you want. I'm not cutting you off by any means.
Man, I'm thinking.
Katie's thinking, so.
I haven't been around quite as long. Like, I've got a lot of POA history, but not quite maybe to your guys' extent.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like there used to be some pretty cool names back in the day.
Oh yeah. Well, there was Dolly Parton, there was, and your grandparents had something related to a Dolly Parton. There was Dragon's Dolly Parton, and then there was plays on that name, of course. And, there's always been names like that. But, of course, there's a lot of cool names that don't have to do. I used to name, I wanted to name one Wise Guy after the series from the late 80s. It was about a cop that went into the mafia, as a a spy or what, a mole. And my dad said, let's not name him Wise Guy. Why don't we name him Tough Guy? So, because he was by Chippewa. So we named him Tough Guy. I never did get to name one Wise Guy then. And,
well, of course, there's Al Capone, which I feel like I need to tell you this because I did tell you I did not actually make that name up.
Right.
It was another one that I heard it and I put that away for later. But I want to say I don't know how many years ago this was, but I was not living in Texas and I came to visit and I went to work with Pat. And Pat has some really crazy clients and he's got a lot of people that get their horses trimmed about every 4 months. And this was one of those, and they had this little miniature, and he was tied to a tree, and he had wound himself up, so he was snubbed up to it.
Oof.
And he was a little turd. I mean, you could just tell he was really ornery. And I said, wow, he's, kind of being a turd. And that's Al Capone. And I was like, oh, yep, I'm saving that one.
I'm saving that one.
Yeah, that was a good.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
and then you guys got that hardship one. You named him. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. So when I saw that, we got Al from a Craigslist ad from Oklahoma, and when I saw that ad, I said he needs to be named. I need to buy this pony so I can name him Al because I knew he was not registered. Right. So it's probably part of the reason we bought him because he definitely looked like an Al Capone. So.
He does. So I was telling my wife today, I said, Katie's going to be the guest, but then I said, Janelle's going to call in, and I haven't advertised it. It's a special guest, special surprise guest. And I said, it's about her naming all these horses. And she said, well, you got to mention she named Stella too. Because you're the one that, our puppy that we got at the Futurity last year, you're the one that come up with Stella. So you must have a name.
That's funny because I got a new puppy years ago before when I still lived in Iowa, and I wanted to name her Stella. And this friend of mine that I worked in the office at the doctor's office with was pregnant, and she was pregnant with a girl, and she'd had like 3 boys. And I said, I'm going to name my new puppy Stella. And she's like, that's what I was going to name my daughter. So, of course, I didn't. So that's why I always think Stella's such a good dog name. So that's why I mentioned it, actually, because I didn't get to name my dog Stella.
Oh, well, you got this. Monica loves her Stella. So I call her Rat or Princess Rat a lot of times when she does something bad because she's still a puppy. She'll be a year old in 2 days. So she was 7 weeks old at the Futurity. So, she was born the 1st of August. So, so we have a famous name for Janelle. So that's cool.
If you want to talk about dog names, my dog is named Leonard after Leonard Lewis.
Okay.
I bought him with my prize money when I was 3rd, the very last year they had it. So he's Leonard.
Okay.
And we had the name, then we had to find the dog and, convince the dad to get the dog. But
Leonard Lewis, what a good guy.
I grew up around him, so I remember going to his house for the Futurities. They roasted a pig in the ground, just like Hank Williams Jr. song. Got a pig in the ground, beer on ice. Well, they would roast a pig every year. Paul Passy and him and some other people would come, non-POA people, and help them carve it up. And everybody would go show in their outdoor arena, rain or shine. And that was the Minnesota State Futurity, and then the meeting. We'd have a meeting in their house. And, they did that for years in Anoka, Minnesota. So Leonard and Joan Lewis. So this has been a fun episode, guys. It's really cool to we've talked about some great who's who of POAs here, past and present. So, and some of these have bright futures, of course. A lot of them do. They're so young. Katie, did you come up with any more you were thinking about?
I was kind of looking at the comments. And I forgot Jackie Hall here from Iowa has, I think it's a yearling.
Yeah, it's a yearling. Jolene, yeah. That's a his dirty dealer.
Yeah, they have some pretty good names with theirs too. Jackie Hall has some pretty.
Right. Hollywood Bombshell's a good name, and then of course
like the Freight Train.
The Freight Train, yeah. And then of course Kings in Iowa have the Heartbreaker. That's a Heartbreaker's a Pat Benatar song, but I don't know if they named it that way. But that one was bred by
came from Jess.
Jess. Jess. I love that gelding too. He's a nice.
Yeah, he's a cool horse.
Yeah. Good mover and nice halter horse too.
I test rode him last year, actually.
Okay.
And we tied for first in the 4-5 stakes, Hunter in the saddle, and we were 3rd in the East gelding. So we had some he was fun last year, and then obviously I have a junior pony this year, so I didn't ride him. But he had quite the Congress too.
Yeah, he sure did. He's a nice horse. Of course,
Yeah.
King's from. I mean, I showed with. Well, I didn't show with Kelsey because I was much older, but I remember her showing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She was huge.
Yeah. Well, Iowa has a lot of history. You know, they have a lot
Yeah.
and a lot of breeders, of course. Of course, it started in Iowa, so. But there's still a good
Kelsey
club in Iowa too. So.
Yeah, Kelsey was always the girl I wanted to be when I was a kid, and of course she showed Impulses in Town, which
Right.
was one that Grandma and Grandpa raised and showed in hand. So
Yeah.
definitely always. And her son is actually the little boy that's on Millsap there. That picture that you would
Okay.
put up there. So
That
that's
picture.
her.
I'm gonna go try to
Yeah,
find
that's
that
her
picture.
son Luke.
Okay.
That's her son Luke, and he can't say Millsap, so it's Moosap. But it's super cute.
That's
Yeah.
funny. I wondered who that kid was in that picture. I was going to ask you, but I ran out of time. So that's.
Oh, I see. Jess did say he is named after.
Did Jess say the
Tom Petty,
Heartbreakers Dam is?
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Yeah.
Is learning to fly. So he's named after Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Okay. Well, see, that still ties in. So we're right about talking about him today. So tonight on this show.
Yeah,
so.
the top. All in the money in the McLaren were Tom named, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yep.
So pretty good.
There he is. There's the picture of Millsap, or however you say he says his name.
Yep, Millsap.
Yep, right there.
Yep, there he is.
Yeah.
Yep. So he had been wanting, I think, to ride him all week long, and so that was after the last class, and so he just stuck him on. And
Millsap's got his tongue sticking out there too. Do you see that?
Yep.
That's a great picture.
Millsap is also what we call job security for the Burtons. It has tacked on a plethora of his right front shoes at the horse shows, and he's
glad to do it.
Millsap pulled his shoe walking up to our backdrop picture, actually, and so his right front shoe is in next to one of his trophies, and then Pat put it back on again for not the first time at Congress, and so kind of a good.
Pat always jokes that he's shod more national champions than anybody. So of course he's kind of a ringer there. So he's got a shoe in there, no pun intended. So Jan Rogers is saying remind Janelle about Melvin, but you did mention Melvin's name.
Yeah,
earlier.
I did. I would just wait for games because Melanie would just eat me all day long and everything else. I had like the worst ponies that I had to show in the all around. I mean, my parents were like, "Oh, just get over it," and I just nothing was that good, and they all just even for back then they were too fast and too high headed. But I always had Melvin in games, so that was that was my thing, and I also never missed sticking the flag, which is maybe a story for a different podcast.
We'll have one about flags. Yeah, we'll have and then you can come back again for the third time. So
yeah, well, my dad, he loved the flags, and he would make my brother and I practice with a motorcycle and a coffee. So we had to stick it.
Right.
He would so we didn't get our horses tired, so we could practice over and over and not get our horses tired. So he would make us sit on the back of his 250 Honda dirt bike and stick the flag in a coffee can.
Oh wow.
Yep.
That's intense. Jan just said he was the best. Yeah, Jan really liked him. Yeah.
I'm definitely terrified of going fast, and nobody else, like my mom never did the games or anything, and I think that kind of runs in the family. So.
Well, it's a good thing your family raises pleasure horses, so you don't have to worry about it that much. For sure. So Melissa Andring was saying, "Thank You Next" is a song, and Got 'Em Saying "Wow" is a song. I know they're both from Seehafers in Wisconsin, I think. So yeah, so them are songs too. So I didn't know that. I don't keep up with them. I still listen to classic rock pretty much and old country, and so.
Yeah, Thank You Next. I know. I don't know. Got 'Em Saying "Wow" as a song.
I don't know that one either. But About the most modern I know is like Fall Out Boy or something. So Imagine Dragons, I know them. I know who they are. But otherwise, I'm pretty much Bon Jovi and Motley Crue and those guys.
See, I struggle with some of these names. Like I don't know who half these things are. I just know that they're songs because they came from Janelle.
Right. Right. Welcome to the Jungle. Come on today on our radio station. We have classic rock on, and it came on about probably 5 to 6, and I started laughing. All the other people in the building was looking at me. They thought I'd finally went insane, but they didn't get why I was laughing so hard. So, yeah, it was funny.
Well, if you come by our stalls at Futurity, we have a Futurity playlist too, by the way, and it's a pretty daggone good playlist, if I say so.
All right. Right. Yeah,
I need to pick some more. I need to pick some more CCR songs because I just love me some CCR. I need that. Those are a couple of those are on my list. So
right. Yeah, they would be. And then the Doors is going back even further, but they would probably have some. And of course the Beatles, but that's getting back. That's Pat's generation now. Oh, I said it. Don't get But anyway, yeah, I like the 80s music like you do, Janelle, so those names are cool. But then Mama Tried, I mean, that's a great song. I listen to classic country usually in the car a lot of times, so it just depends on what mood I'm in. But
except for, I see you're also a Swiftie. Your wife is ratting you out.
Yeah, a Swiftie. Are you a Swiftie?
What's that?
Your wife said that you're a Swiftie.
A Swiftie? Oh, she said. Yeah. Where's she saying that at? I'm not a Swiftie.
On the comments.
Oh wow! I do know the song, and your mama don't know. So I know that song where she goes, "It's late, and your mama don't know." I say that to the dogs all the time when it's late, and I'm letting them out like at 10:30. I go, "It's late, and your mama don't know." That's a Swiftie song. So that's an old one. That's I don't know her modern. Fortnite and all this stuff. I don't know that. I know her old stuff with the first few boyfriend breakups.
Yep. I am old enough that I listened to her on CD growing up. So I got the CDs part. I do have full records, so.
That's your old music? Is it you listened on a CD? Okay.
Uh-huh. Yep. That was before, iPods and MP3 players.
Everybody needs to have a Katie Meyer in their life. I got to say that.
Right.
Any person that has a young child that shows right now needs a Katie Meyer to look up to.
Right.
I just 100% feel that way.
Well, I'm so glad she said that she's coming back as an adult to show for a little while for sure. So.
Me too.
You too.
And then, in fact, another Katie story. She was smiling so big with one of her trophies, and her mom said to me she never gets tired of winning because she's always happy and gracious every time. And I just thought, oh my goodness, that's like the greatest thing ever. And just, your pure joy of winning a trophy, even though you had a fantastic show, like every time you were so happy and gracious and thankful.
Every single one of them makes me cry. So
exactly. It's just so refreshing. So
well, that's good. To be humble is so good, especially with all the success you've had. So you don't let it go to your head. Of course, I know your family; they wouldn't let it go to your head anyway. But yeah, that's
no, not at all. After Hunter Under Saddle Day, that was like an awe to get both, junior and senior that day was just like. I mean, I woke up and I still couldn't believe it the next morning. And my grandma said to me, like, we had given hugs and stuff after senior, and my grandma looked at me and said, "Well, Katie, it's the first day of the show. You got to keep on going. This isn't where you stop now." And I was like, "Nope, it's not." And so they all brought me down a peg too. So don't worry, but so well, I do see Melissa says they're having a Taylor Swift baby, and I'm gonna go with that Stokey's mare, and I'm pretty excited for that one. So.
Yeah, that's good. They raise nice horses too. Now they use a prefix, Berry Sweet, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably not on this one though. So.
Probably not on this. You never know. Yeah, it's harder to fit it in there. So.
Yep.
Oh, Pat Burton just said Monica Rourke. I can totally see that. I just burnt him a little, so he had to burn me back. That's fine. That's what friendship's all about. So.
Well, Kent, he was giving me a hard time because, when we got married, he put Joy in my name and his name both. Okay. And I did not see that when we got married for Petra.
Right.
And he is still mad about it. And I said, the papers are in the book. Just go get them. And it's like, I don't have a problem with it at all. But he's like, you never put Petra in my name. You never put Petra in my name.
I know when the Joy babies are born, or Almond Joy babies, it's P and J Burton, Pat, and then the Petras. It's just you. So you both are on there, and you're both on the first page now for breeders, and it's kind of interesting. I know years from now, people are going to say, "I think you made a mistake," and I'm going to have to explain it to them. So
because Janelle didn't get those papers transferred. And honestly, I just forget about it. I just don't think about. When it's off season and the paper book goes, where it goes, and it's sitting there in the back. And so he's probably going to go get that book right now and send those papers.
Well, now there's collaborations, like Tammy Verzi and Lindsay have bred some together, and now Ryan, Kate, and Shannon have bred some together. Yeah. So now I'm just putting it, and it's kind of bad because like Shannon has, like 30 some wins as a breeder, but now she's also on there with like 2 wins with Ryan, because I can't really put them, it's hard to put them up with her too. So she's in another category. It's like, how many times can you get on the list here? Which that's kind of cool too, if you see your name several times. So.
Well, I mean, Shannon's talking about somebody else that has minimal brood mares, but they're all just incredible quality. Like for her to be that high, and I mean, we have 2, sometimes 3, depending on. Well, now we don't have Joy anymore, but the most babies we've had since Pat and I have been together have been 3 babies in a year, and she has 2 fantastic mares that just always outproduce themselves, and she always has rock stars. So Shannon's a very thoughtful breeder and very smart breeder.
She is, and she picks really good stallions that fit the POAs. And of course, that white mare of hers is that's a Hall of Fame mare legacy. She is just she's been the rock of that program. So you need a good mare like that. It's always about the stallion, of course, but the mares are the ones that really drive it home. They're the ones that make it happen. So.
Well, when we need, sorry, go ahead, Katie.
I think you obviously have some really good brood mares, even if it's few. Because Pat are you seeing this?
Yes, he gives me a hard time all the time.
He's cracking me up.
Well, I got in trouble one time because I said on a podcast, I said, you can't marry into wins. I said, remember that, Janelle? I said, and Pat texted me and said, you said something, I don't know what you said, but Janelle caught it. And I said, well, I just meant, you don't inherit Janelle's wins. So, because some of those you rode, you want like that gelding and different ones that won before you guys were together. So I can't, put them all together. But
of course not. Of course not. Well,
I did move you to Texas. You are in Texas now instead of Iowa, so you changed.
Yeah. Yeah. So one more thing. I know we're kind of getting long-winded here, but Macy actually would have a song name too. But that was a big collaboration. She had several different names. She had ID papers, and then So then when we finally decided on a name for her, I wanted to name her Slow Ride, I think. And Roslyn or Dave, one or the other, I don't know, their input, they almost have input on just about all the names, because Dave's just like maybe the wittiest person I know, and Roslyn's not far behind.
Right.
And she said, what about, I said, you know what, it was Dave, because Dave said, well, what about Joyride? Because that, because we just kind of wanted to be like, this great mare, everybody loves Bud. Everybody loves LB All the Rage. He's bred to the hilt, but then, we've got this unassuming white mare, and she's obviously a great producer, so let's just name her Joyride.
Right.
So that's how she got her name, or else she would also have a song. So.
Okay, she'd have a song too. So.
Yeah, so she's named for her mom.
Okay. So. Well, that mare needed some loving too, so. Yeah. She just got a win. She won the Produce a Dam, right? So this year, Almond Joy.
Yep.
Joy
She's won it. She's won it twice.
Twice. Abdul's Almond Joy, because I had to pull up her sire from way back in the list. So Abdul's grandson is her sire. So so that was cool. So all right, guys. Well, this has been fun. It's I think people probably learned some cool stories here. So that's how, like, some near misses on names, and I feel honored to interview both of you at the same time. So it wasn't really an interview, but a conversation. So you're both welcome back anytime. We're going to have a flag episode maybe next year. I don't know.
I would have to get my dad involved in that. Although Rosalind did text me and say, McGuire struck the flag with confidence, so that I would be proud because of the flag, burden to uphold of you have to stick the flag. So.
Right. So that's cool. Katie, do you have anything else you want to add before we sign off? I can't wait to see you ride in college, so equestrian.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I guess I would come back anytime.
Oh, good.
I love talking about my nephews, so.
Well, POA is a cool subject, so, and it's full of a lot of cool people like you two, so, and your families, of course, so, and even Pat, so.
Well, I guess you didn't mention that, Kent, when you asked me if I could be on the podcast. I guess
somebody's trying to come in the house.
When I said that I would be on the podcast if Pat got home in enough time for work.
Yeah, did he get home?
He did, barely.
Yeah.
He got home at 6:20. So.
He's the one that told me, because you had, we were talking. I knew you were going to be on here, but you didn't quite agree to it. But you just started sending me stuff, so I knew you were going to be on here. And then Pat goes, she said, if I get home in time, or I have to get home in time, not if. He said, I have to get home in time so she can be on the podcast. So.
Yeah.
At least we're all in the same time frame because we live straight up and down pretty much from each other. So Iowa, Oklahoma, and Texas. So we're all in the central time zone. It's tough when I interview somebody from Washington or somebody from the East, because then it's an hour later, of course. So, or whatever. So, all right. Well, I think the dogs are ready to call it a show. So,
I guess.
I'm going to bring both of you back again, and for several topics. So, all right, guys, thanks a lot for being on here.
Well, thanks, Kent. Thanks for doing this.
All right. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So this has been a cool episode. Very, very good guests. Both Iowa kids. Of course, Janelle lives in Texas now, and Katie's just starting out her life, a teenager in Iowa, and she set some history this year by winning junior and senior classes in Western and Hunt seat, so that's hard to do with two different horses, a junior horse and then a senior horse, and both ends of it, so that's cool. And Janelle's made history with some of her horses, of course, talking about those couple mares she's had, and then some of Pat's mares they've used over the years, Almond Joy, and all the success they've had with all those babies, so it was kind of cool to bring some of that to the forefront too, based off of their names. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this show. I want to Terry Thorson called me right before the show tonight and said I couldn't talk to him because I was out with the guests, but he said he had a quarter horse meeting to go to tonight, and this is only the second episode in 88 episodes that he's missed live. So even though he's not on here tonight, I want to thank Terry for his support, because he's watched 86 of these episodes live, and that's saying a lot. So then, of course, Tracy's always a big contributor, and Jan Rogers, Linda's on here, usually Dean and Corey's on here. Of course, Pat was tonight, and Melissa Andring, they have their own podcast, of course. There's Heidi, my wife, Lori Reed, a whole bunch of people that comment on here and watch the show every week. So, and of course, you can go back. Lisa caught it a little late. You can go back, Lisa. We did talk about your guy there. So, Skyrock Moves Like Jagger. It was right when Janelle was phoning in. So, but his picture is on there. So, we've been live for an hour and 18 minutes. I have to come up with a topic for next week. I'm sure we'll be live. I just got to come up with a topic. If somebody wants to send me a message, if you got anything you want to talk about, you see how easy it is to be a guest. Had, again, two great guests tonight. Thank you, Katie Meyer from Iowa and Janelle Burton from Texas for being special guests tonight. So thank you, everybody, for watching episode 88 of my POA podcast, Black Hand and Beyond. This one was called Name That Tune /POA. And now that you've seen the episode, you probably get the reference to that. So, all right, everyone. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. Hopefully see you next Tuesday. Enjoy the song, everyone. Good night.